I've never found a love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello everybody, welcome back to E20 Zone TV. I hope you're all having a good day. News time, and there is some news, and Angelo Ogbonna and Conor Coventry look like they're on their way out. I'm going to start off with Conor Coventry, and he's the man to talk about first. Hasn't worked out at West Ham for Conor, in my opinion. He's been a good player for sort of coming on and doing sort of league games, Europa League games, but he hasn't made the grade at West Ham, and he's been at West Ham for quite a long time. So Conor Coventry has been told he's allowed to leave in January and to go and find a club. He plays for Ireland under 23s, I think it is. He's been a good player for West Ham, but he just hasn't made the grade, which is a major shame, really, because I've watched Conor for quite a few years locally to me, and he just lacks that sort of Premier League quality, in my opinion. Not to say he ain't going to go somewhere else and tear it up. Maybe he needs a fresh start, fresh ideas, fresh approach. That's what he needs. And I agree with what Andy says. He's not Premier League level for me. I do agree on that. It's a shame with him. It really is. But I don't know what's going on at West Ham at the minute. But we're letting a lot of our youngsters go, like, for some crazy reason. I don't really understand why. So, yeah, in regards to Conor, good luck to him. And all the best, really, mate. Do you know what I'm saying? We've seen some good youngsters go through the door over the last sort of 6 months. Perkins, Elise, and now Conor Coventry looks like he's on his way out. So, bittersweet, but it was going to happen. It was going to happen. I'm going to move on, though, to this man. Now, this man is an interesting one. Angelo Ogbonna. Right. What can I say about Angelo Ogbonna? He's been here a hell of a long time. He's been here about 8 years, I think it is. I think he came in like 2014, 2015. Excellent player. But I think West Ham are looking to cash in on this man before his contract runs out next summer. He got injured against Liverpool, I think it was, last October, and ever since then he just hasn't been the same player. He's been an absolute top class player for West Ham United. Can't stress enough how good he has been, and he's had a bit of an up and down spell at West Ham. I will say that. A few years ago, people wanted him at the door, so he weren't good enough, and he come back with a vengeance, and he was arguably one of our best players one season. But the injuries have sort of caught up with him. He got injured at Manchester United in the FA Cup game. He got injured against Liverpool last year. So over the last sort of 2-3 years, he's been picking up injuries. And if this is his final farewell, it's going to be a great shame. It really will be. I can't stress enough how good the geezer's been. And for the fee that we paid for him from Juventus was peanuts, really. To get the sort of player that we've got, and we're going to let go, is going to be a shame. He's been an absolute first-class man, and he's embraced the club like all of us have. I will say that. The only thing I will say on this, what I don't really understand, is why West Ham are letting this man go right now, so to speak, as in January. With Zuma getting his sort of surgery and getting like in a recovery state at present, I don't get where West Ham are going with this one. I really don't. Can West Ham go out and get another centre half of his quality? Maybe. They have signed a Brazilian centre half, but to chuck that Brazilian centre half in the Premier League straight away, they've either got a lot of confidence or they've been playing stupid in my eyes. I don't really get it. I don't really get it. So, yeah, like in regards of him, I just don't get why West Ham are getting rid of him now. Do you know what I mean? They gave him a contract last year after he got injured and said, basically, we're going to give you another contract because you've been a great servant to West Ham. But now it just seems like West Ham are getting rid of him because they may have someone else lined up. Now, if they've got someone lined up to come in, then great. I'm all over that. If they haven't, and they're just going to bring this Brazilian lad in, then for me, I don't know what West Ham are really doing, if I'm being honest. I don't know what Moyes is really doing. I won't let Angelo Ogbonna go. For the amount of money you're going to get for him, you're best off keeping him around. He's going to be handy for cup games. He's going to be handy for sort of Europa League games if we're in a situation where we can sort of rest players. And obviously, he's a good influence around the club. Do you know what I'm saying? So you're letting sort of a vocal spokesman in the dressing room go, which for me is a major, major worry. Is a major, major worry at all. Like, listen, if Zuma wasn't injured, then I would say by all means, like, let him go. But Zuma's out. He's out, and he ain't back till probably the middle of January. So at present, we've got Craig Dawson and Aguerd. Now, if anything happens to them two, we have no one. Really do. So it is a major, major concern. But if he does leave, listen, I've got nothing but praise for him. And I will wish him all the best in where he goes. I think he will probably go back to Italy and see out his career there. Just to sort of carry on, I just want to talk about Declan Rice. Now, if anyone has seen it, he done an interview for England, and he was talking about his ambitions and all that. And he mentioned about that he's looking to play Champions League football and basically looking for a way out of West Ham, basically. To say I'm disappointed with him isn't really a fair assessment, in my opinion. I look at him and I say, this has been coming with Declan. West Ham don't drop £170 million in the ocean unless they've got a backup plan. It's just a given. So I'm not disappointed with him. It's the timing of it that's done me a little bit. The timing of the interview to say, you know what, I'm with my mates, they're playing Champions League football, they're fighting for titles, and I'm just at West Ham, basically. When West Ham are in a bad moment at the minute, and we don't look like getting any better anytime soon. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm a bit disappointed with him with that, but if you're in the England team, you're surrounded by players who are at other clubs and you're at West Ham, people are going to get in your ear at the end of the day and say, oh, why don't you come up here or why don't you go there? So I'm a bit disappointed with Deck in that regard. He should have said that he wants to fight to win a trophy at West Ham this season, i.e. the conference. And then if he wants to go in the summer, by all means. I don't know where this sort of leaves West Ham. I've seen reports of £70 million bids from like Chelsea, Liverpool, etc. If he goes for £70 million, West Ham have been conned. What he should do, if he wants to have the good graces of the club, he should sign another contract and have a release clause in it for over 100 million. And then if someone wants to come in and sign him, then basically let him go. Do you know what I mean? If West Ham, I think West Ham need to sort of bite the bullet on this one and say you either let him go or you let his contract run down and let him go for free. That's the only way I can sort of do this, because for me, I look at him, he's a key point at West Ham, and he's the reason why West Ham have been really, in my eyes, very, very good over the last few years. But if we lose him, we're losing like the heartbeat of the midfield and the heartbeat of the club, really, if I'm being honest. Like, because I look at the other players on the pitch, and I don't see any other leaders on the pitch other than him, really. You can give it to Cresswell, maybe. He's been there like longest serving player, but for me, I think Cresswell's days are numbered at West Ham as like first choice left back. So it's an interesting one for me of where we go in regards to Declan Rice. Now, I feel that he's pushing for a move, and I don't think he's pushing for a move for the summer. I think he's pushing a move for January, if I'm being honest. To go and drop that in an England interview really does say a lot to me. And it doesn't. The signs don't look very sort of good, to say the least. He feels like people are getting in his ear to try and influence him and move away from West Ham. Which, don't get me wrong, he's a world class player, Declan Rice, and we all, as West Ham fans, we're not all stupid enough to say that he's going to stay here for the rest of his career. We all know that he ain't. But to do it now is such bad timing for me. It really is such bad timing. Like, to go and say about letting Ogbonna go, fair enough. Ogbonna's been here a long time. He might want to like retire out in Italy. He deserves it. And as I say about Conor hasn't made the grade at West Ham, in my opinion. He's been in and around it. He just hasn't made the grade. But for Declan Rice, the captain of West Ham United, to go and sort of talk about himself and his ambitions over like not looking at West Ham and having a bit of respect for West Ham is a bit of a gutting one for me in regards of him. Listen, I'll clap Declan out the door. Yeah, I think Declan Rice has been absolutely first class at West Ham, and I can't praise him enough for what he's done. As in just pushing his team forward, like as in development. But to go and do it in an interview, and if anyone's seen it, go on Twitter, you will find it, and it's not good. It's not a good look. So the owners and the board like have to sort of get around the table and assess this and see what the best deal is for West Ham. And if they do have to let Declan Rice go, they have to spend that money wisely. Do you know what I'm saying? They have to. My fear is, and I've always said this, that Declan will go in 2023 summer. They will get the money. They will sell the club to Kadinsky, and it'll be Kadinsky's problem then at the end of the day. So I've always said that from minute one, and that is a major concern for me because if he goes, I hope he's taking the downward spiral of West Ham United. I really hope it ain't. Afternoon, mate. I hope you are all well. Let's get to some comments. See what you say. West Ham needs to do what Leicester do: set a price and stick to it. Rice will stay until the summer. I agree. I do agree on that. But the prices that I'm seeing are terrible, Anthony. If I'm being honest, £70 million for arguably one of the best defensive midfielders in the country, who's only going to get better. I find that quite insulting, really, as a West Ham fan. When I look at other players like Maguire, who's 80 million, Grealish, who's 100 million, who hasn't done a lot. I've seen defenders go for more than him. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel that this has been coming for a long time. I think West Ham are trying to make Declan stay so they can build around Declan. But I think Declan's sort of, I think his head's been turned, if I'm being honest. I think his head's been turned to other clubs, other players, seeing that they're playing Champions League football. And maybe he's a bit green-eyed on it. Maybe he's looking at it and going, you know what? They're playing Champions League football. So should I, really. And they're not. So, yeah. We'll be slitting our throats if we let Rice go in January. If someone come in for him right now, this is a question to the chat. There's not many of us on, but it's a question for the chat. If someone come in January and said to you, right, we'll give you £90 million in January for Declan Rice, I think a lot of people would take that. It wouldn't be good for West Ham, but that 90 million, you go and spend it and you bring in 2, 3, 4 quality players, then by all means, you're going to literally push up the league and like you're going to have to get better. You know, there's no choice about it. If you've got that sort of money at rack round you, you're going to get better. In regards of it, though, I would hope that Declan would want to see out the season and win the conference with West Ham and then say goodbye to West Ham at the end of the season. But you know what? To come out with the interview that he's done, what I've seen, that's not good, man. That's not good at all. That doesn't look good at all. Do you know what I'm saying? That looks like he's ready to go now, which is like a shame. And I do think something has happened at West Ham. I will say this. It ain't me being negative, like, because some people like to sort of clip me up and say I'm being negative. But there has been a change at West Ham recently, like, as in regards of like, it ain't the same vibe anymore. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Trouble with the World Cup in mid-season does leave it open to this. You're spot on. Players getting inside his head. You need to move on. Timing disappointing. I agree, Andy. I couldn't agree anymore. I do feel people have got inside his head. I do feel people have sort of talked to him and said, like, why don't you sort of push for a move in January? And I actually do believe I think he will push for a move in January. I don't like to admit it, but I do. Something is brewing there. And to come out of it where he has is poor, in my opinion. Luca, how are you doing, mate? I hope you're well. In our current situation, I would say no to losing him in January. I agree. I do agree on this in regards to what you're saying. I really do. But I look here and I think, why? Why now? That's like the major thing is why now? Of all the time to come out of it, it's just poor. Well, that's Rice leaving in the summer. Yeah. let's have a look, see what Anthony's got to say. The owners and Rice have already have that will go in the summer. The owners have to hold their nerve if 100 million is the asking price. I don't know. I don't know on that one. I get what you're saying, Anthony. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But I look at it like this: is Kadinsky looking at that and thinking, should we get the dough now, get it spent before Gold, Sullivan, and Brady leave? Because if they go, they'll probably take half of that, if not all of that, with them. So I don't know. Rice's new interview looks very, very bad for us. It does, Hammerhead. I can't stress enough how bad it does look, mate. And I'm disappointed in him in that way. Listen, I don't really get disappointed in Declan Rice because I looked at him as every other West Ham fan has looked at him over the last sort of few years, that he's sort of come through the system and smashed his way through to the first team. But to come out with it the way he has at a World Cup, when all the fans are like literally at home enjoying the World Cup, the situation West Ham are actually in at present also, it's not a good look. It's just not a good look, in my opinion. It really ain't. So, yeah, I'm disappointed in him. I really am, mate. I can't stress enough. He's holding us back anyway. Maybe. But I do think that Flynn Downs, if we can get Flynn Downs, that a lot of people have mentioned about, and a lot of people I spoke to, a lot of Swansea fans I spoke to, they've turned around and said to me, this kid's going to be the real deal in a few years. Maybe we've just bagged the ideal replacement for peanuts. Let's put it like that. The worry is losing him in January. Can't see us finding a replacement that soon. I agree. I really do. It's GSB that are more involved, not Kadinsky. I do think Kadinsky is looking at it though, mate. I've heard a lot of stuff from people that I do sort of trust in regards to West Ham. And they've said that Kadinsky's not happy at the minute. He's put in dough and he's not seeing nothing for his sort of buck, basically. If Rice wants to move on and win trophies, let him. Doesn't bother me. We get loads of money and he gets a chance to win something. Listen, I haven't got a problem with that though, mate. I really haven't. And listen, I agree with everything you just said there. But it's the timing of it. West Ham ain't in a good place at the minute, are they? Let's be real. And when we come back, we've got a big game against Arsenal, yeah, where it's the perfect time to play Arsenal, in my opinion, because they're all going to come back. They ain't going to be sort of vibing as much as they were. And to come out with that isn't really a good look. We can push Downs into the pivot with Paqueta, sell Souček, replace him and sign another midfielder or two. I love your positivity, man. I must admit, I do love it. You do it like that, he's an idiot. Yeah. Selling Rice won't affect the club being sold to Kadinsky as it is already as agreed price with a GSB. Rice leaving in the summer anyway. I doubt he's not given 100%. I don't know. I feel if a bid comes in for him in January, why would you? Because what it is with regards to the summer is if Declan Rice gets an injury, just heaven forbid, right, he gets an injury of any sorts and he's out, and he can get an injury, he's not invincible. That's one thing I will say. Then his price goes down massively. What is the point waiting for 100 million when you can get 90 million in January? I just don't get it. I just don't get why he would do it. I really don't. Declan shouldn't be commenting on his club in an England shirt. Not happy. Totally agree with that. And listen, I can't stress enough how much I agree with that. Like, what's his personal ambitions got to do with England? You're there to do a job for England. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's not good. Hi, James. What do you think about the rumours of Scamacca leaving? We could potentially go back to having Antonio up front by himself again. I don't know why any striker would join with Moyes in charge. Well, if Scamacca's not happy, Scamacca's not a bad player. Listen, I've said this time and time again. People who are with Moyes, yeah, fair enough. That's your opinion. But Scamacca wasn't a bad player before he arrived at West Ham. He just comes to West Ham and automatically becomes a bad player. Why? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Why has he automatically become a bad player? Is it the league? I don't think it's the league. This man's been sought after by a lot of top clubs all around Europe. He's Italian striker. He's been trained by Ruud van Nistelrooy. So I don't really get it. Maybe it's the management. We're not getting any more than 90 million for Rice. Jude Bellingham proved Rice isn't worth 100+ million pounds. I agree on that. Now Jude Bellingham's performing the way he's performing. Yeah, he's outshining Rice. But I don't think Rice is worth 70 million pounds. I think he's worth a lot more than that. And anyone who thinks he's worth 70 million pounds, and you go and compare him to other midfielders, like Pogba went for what, 80 and 90 million? No chance, mate. I know Pogba's, and that's different systems, but Pogba does play a defensive midfield position in certain games, an attacking midfield position. But I don't know. I'm just disappointed. Like, I can't stress enough how disappointed I am, really, in regards of him for doing that. And I do agree with Squirrel's comment there. Right, that's probably comment of the day for me. He shouldn't be commenting on anything to do with his club with an England shirt. Really shouldn't. Like, why? Why would you do it? So we will see what happens. We really will. And hopefully, if whatever happens in the future, we can sort this out. West Ham will demand more money for Rice. I think West Ham are set on £100 million for Declan Rice. I think that's what West Ham are looking at. They're looking at, he's 23 years old. You get him for 10 years. You're laughing. Yeah, you've got a player there who's going to be committed for 10 years. The problem I have with it now, and this is a major problem that I do have with it, is how committed is he going to be to West Ham if he's looking for a move elsewhere? That's the worry with me. So I think to myself, if you're not committed to West Ham United right now, you should just go. Do you know what I mean? Because we're in trouble, mate, and that's a worry. Is Moyes going out to Qatar? I did hear rumours that he'll be working out there as a pundit. I think Moyes is back, mate. If I'm honest. To be truthfully honest, I think Moyes is back. I see a training thing today. Whether Moyes is there or not is another thing, though. Skamaka leaving. What fairy tale some fans have been reading? Would Connect Coventry go to Championship? Yeah, Conor Coventry will go to a Championship club, mate. Wouldn't surprise me if he ends up at somewhere like Burnley or West Bromwich Albion, something like that. Rice not worth 100, at least 70. He's not worth 70 million pounds, mate. He's worth more than 70 million pounds. I've seen other players like Harry Maguire go for 80 million pounds, and he's better than Harry Maguire. He's better than a lot of players, and what he brings to your side is a leader, like a Roy Keane. Anyone remembers Roy Keane? That's the sort of player that Declan Rice reminds me of. So for 70 million pounds, he's just not worth it. Right? He's not worth losing for 70 million pounds, in my opinion. If he goes for 100 million, he's worth losing for 100 million, but not for 70. I know it's 30 million difference, but at 30 million pound player, that signs you a half decent midfielder, in my opinion. 90 pounds at the most for Rice, maybe 100 if we were very lucky with the right buyer. Mischief making from the reporters pinning Rice with a question about his West Ham future, but not good from Rice to answer the question. I agree, mate. He's already there, mate. He's on analytics. God, dear. Starting bid at 120 million, in my opinion. I wouldn't say 120. I wouldn't. I don't think he's worth that, really, 120. Maybe now you've seen the emergence of Jude Bellingham. I think Jude Bellingham's worth every penny of 120, 140 million up. But for me, excuse me, if we got 100 million pounds for Declan Rice, we've had it off, in my opinion. We've had a right result. I think someone's going to come in with a bid of about 70 million plus a player. Wouldn't surprise me. And I'm going to say this, yeah, and I just want to put this out there to the people in the chat and see if you would take this or not. But I've got a feeling Manchester City will come in for Declan Rice and they would offer us a cash fee plus Calvin Phillips. Now, for me, it looks a good deal, but Calvin Phillips is always injured, and that's a problem. Do you know what I'm saying? So let me see what you think in the chat as that sort of comes through. Would you accept a bid of around about 60, 70 million pounds for Declan plus Phillips? Because Phillips has done nothing in a Manchester City shirt, and he's somehow at a World Cup, which is unbelievable. Thanks for clarifying. I'm not sure. That's right. Casemiro went to United for 70 million at 7 years younger. Rice is worth 100 million. Totally agree on that comment. Another comment of the day, that one. Casemiro went for 70 million pounds. I know he's won Champions Leagues and for Real Madrid, but he's like 30. Yeah, I think he's 31. I think he is, or he's going to be 31 soon for 70 million pounds. Declan's worth every penny, mate. Moyes can sell off now. I was so torn with the situation, but he can do one now. Listen, I can't sort of knock Moyes on this one because he hasn't made him say anything, has he? Let's be honest here. But yeah, Ashby leaving too. I don't know what's going on at West Ham. I really, really don't. Ashby, I've seen that sort of thing emerging. I really have. And for him to walk, if he goes in January, I'll be bitterly disappointed. Like, for some reason, he's just not getting the rub of the green, mate, if I'm honest. Could it be a Chelsea offering 70 million and Gallagher maybe? I don't know whether he would go back to Chelsea, mate, if I'm being honest. I think he's burnt by Chelsea massively because of what Chelsea done to him as a youngster. If he does, for me, it's bittersweet for me. I want him to go and do well, but just not for Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? If he goes to Liverpool or Manchester City, I can see him winning a title with either of them two sides. I can't see him winning a title with Chelsea, really, if I'm being honest. Gallagher, I'm not convinced. I really am not. I think some people like him, some people don't. I'm in the camp of I think he's all right. I think he's a good player. He's a very good player for Palace. And then when he goes to Chelsea, he's not really the same player. So I don't know whether I would take that, if I'm honest. Maybe if they chucked him 70 million pounds plus Broja, then I would have some of that maybe. Because I think Broja could be on the way out. And I would use the 70 million pounds and go and get Ward-Prowse out of Southampton. That's what I would do if it was me. Or go and find another proper defensive midfield player. But we will see. Liverpool will offer 80 million. Maybe. Phillips is a walking sick, but it's a no from me. I agree. 8 players also out of contract in the summer. Obviously, there's been rumours that sort of Kafal could be on his way out. Also, a few bidding clubs will be bidding for Rice. I reckon we'll get about 110 million at the most. I don't think we'll get double figures, mate. If I'm honest, triple figures. I look at it like this. I think we will get. I think someone's going to come in with a bid, yeah, because obviously financial fair play, and they're going to chuck in a player or two. That's what I reckon it'll be. I know it sounds weird, and it feels like we need way more signings. I still don't think we have enough, to be honest. Problem is, do we spend more money only to see Moyes ruin more players? Valid point. If I'm honest, absolute valid point there. Like the players we've got ain't bad players, really. I've always said this. Like, I know people had their mixed opinions on Haller, yeah, and I understand that. But for me, Haller wasn't a bad player. Like, he went to Ajax and he was scoring goals in the Champions League against really, really good defences. So he wasn't really a bad player. I just think he was mismanaged, in my opinion. And he's proven it now. Because when you look at Scamacca's not a bad player. Like, he's not a bad player at all. But he looks a bad player. Now, it is a worry. It is a worry. Do you go and give Moyes more money to lose it, basically, and lose these players? Or do you sort of wait, be cool, see how Moyes does over the next 2 or 3 games and then assess it after that? Personally, I think he's got 3 or 4 games. And then I think if he loses all 4, I think he's gone. I think the Arsenal game for me is a game. It's a free hit. Not expected to get anything, but it's the best time to play Arsenal, in my opinion. It really is, because they're going to be back from World Cup. They're not all going to be intergelling together. So I think it's the best time to play them. I think the Brentford game, the Leeds game, and the Wolves game are the three games. I think if he don't win at least one of them, I think he's gone. I really do. Not me being negative, it's me being real. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. No one suffered with Moyes like Penny. Yeah. And do you know what's ironic about that? That's a valid point what you're saying there. Isaiah Ben-Rama has been the best sort of attacker this year for West Ham. And for me, he's the only one who's actually trying to save Moyes' job. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think the rest of them really ain't. So, yeah. Scamacca Lima, I won't blame you. Right, what else have we got? Let's have a look. Let's get down here. One player who could end up a dud, but was as previously 6 players now. How many more are the club going to let him ruin? I don't think this is sort of. I know we've turned the sort of conversation from Declan Rice to Moyes. I understand it, but I just think Moyes is, for me, he's got 4 games. Because you can't keep consistently losing games and then expecting a different result, in my opinion. But that's just me. Pyatt left contract or no contract. We'll be heading for Scamacca leaving if Moyes stays. I've turned on Moyes. He just refuses to change. Wow. Scamacca isn't going anywhere. Really. I don't think Scamacca wants to go after 6 months. I'd be quite shocked if he does want to go after 6 months. But there was an interesting thing that came out on TalkSport. Listen, whether you believe TalkSport or not, that's entirely up to you. But I sort of saw a video of Maurizio Pochettino, and he was basically saying that he sort of misses the Premier League, and he still lives in London, lives between London and Barcelona. It would not surprise me at all if this carries on. He's West Ham's next manager. And people say, oh, he's too big for West Ham. He's too big for West Ham. All right. He ain't getting in any other top 6 side because they've all got managers. And they're not all changing. So if the man lives in London and he wants a challenge, West Ham would be the destination. I think it really does make a lot of sense. So yeah, for me, listen, I want Moyes to succeed, but I am very sort of on the cusp of how can this man get any better when he just doesn't change his tune at all. And that's just me at the end of the day. Right, let's have a look, see what you're saying. I think Moyes is a good safety first manager, but when he has better players at his disposal, he can't seem to get the best out of them. Reminds me a lot of his stint at Manchester United. I agree. I think, listen, people take out of context of what I say, like some of the things I see on Twitter, makes me laugh. But I think Moyes has done a good job at West Ham to stabilise this, but I don't think Moyes can take us to another level. That's the one thing I will say. Anyone who thinks he can do that, I disagree with him. I really do. I think he's done very, very well in the 2 years he's been at West Ham, or 2-3 years he's been at West Ham. But there comes a time when you look at it and you think, can this man take us any further? Right? Or is Moyes a long-term plan? So in 5 years, where can you see West Ham heading? At the minute, I can't even see us heading for a victory at the minute. So it's a concern. By giving Moyes 3 games proves that the owners have lost faith. This is just posting for the fans. Yeah, I agree, mate. Andy James, does the 4 games include the FA Cup tie against Brentford? See, that's wedged in between them, isn't it? That's another game which is probably the worst cup sort of draw for West Ham that it could get. Brentford, we just never play well against this team, and especially if we play them just after the Arsenal game. I think we play Leeds, we play Brentford, then we play Wolves. trust me, if we lose against Brentford at home and then we go out in the cup against them, I feel the worst, mate. I really do. I've heard little stints that he could be Madrid bound, but whether or not he does go there is another thing. The ball are not helping themselves either. They're just delaying the. Ever the realist, James. Keep it up, mate. So many fans hide from the truth. Yeah, listen, I try and be as honest and real on this channel as I can be. Like, it's not. I'm not coming on here to promote fake news or anything like that. But you've got to paint it as in black and white as it is. And at present, it's not a good moment for West Ham. It really isn't. And anyone who thinks it is, and they're accepting this, I need to see what they're accepting, really, in my opinion, because this is unacceptable as a West Ham fan, especially when we've been where we've been. And I don't want West Ham to go back to being fighting relegation week in, week out. I really don't. Because that's not what it's about. We shouldn't be like that. And as fans, we shouldn't accept that. That's one thing I would say. As a fan of West Ham United, I don't accept West Ham fighting relegation year in, year out. I think we're better than that. Right? And that ain't me being arrogant. It's me being honest. Like, we've got a massive ground. We've got 60,000 each week. And the boys travel home and away. Like, we've got a big fan base. And from doing the YouTube, I've noticed that there's fans worldwide, from like Japan to Cuba. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, we should be aiming higher than this. We really should, in my honest opinion. There is Stockholm syndrome. There is West syndrome. Yeah, I agree with you, I really do. In your opinion, what is the reason for the slump which started from the Liverpool home fixture last season? I think it's a number of things, yeah. And good question to bring up before I sort of wrap this up. I feel that West Ham were on a bit of a wave last year. They beat Liverpool, they beat Chelsea, but the Chelsea result, for me, it was filtering out into a draw, and then Mazawaku sticks it in the top corner. Yeah. And I just think it started to change after Irvine left, then Stuart Pearce left. And then after that, I don't remember West Ham scoring from a corner. Like, really, our set pieces have been absolutely woeful. Like, I can't remember the last time West Ham actually scored from a corner. I think this season has been Antonio's goal against Chelsea. I might be wrong, but that's the only one I can sort of remember from a corner where he actually scored. But it's just been a bit of a downward spiral. I do think last season people sort of papered over the cracks a little bit. And even I did, to a point, because I looked at it and thought, right, we're safe in the league. It's all on the Europa League. Now, for me, I think that was the worst thing to happen to West Ham. Yeah, as in regards of papering over the cracks. Like, we was winning games in the league, but it didn't really matter because it was all on the Europa League. I think it sort of built up from last season, sort of the back end of last season. I think this summer, the summer that we've just had, the friendlies that we had, some of the games I watched in friendlies, like the Rangers game, was absolutely terrible. Right? And he was trying systems out that didn't work. I watched them against my local side, and even though there was a couple of first teamers in there, they didn't look right. It was just something was off massively off with West Ham. I watched them against Lens, I think it was, in the last friendly, the weekend that Scamacca was signed. And then we go into the sort of the start of the season with Manchester City with really no defenders. Ben Johnson was at the back. It was a bit of a mess, if I'm being honest. Like, we'd signed a lot of players, but they weren't getting games. Yeah. And I just think it's just carried on from the friendlies all the way through to the present day. And for me, I don't know. If something's happened behind the scenes, in my opinion. I've always said that. I'm looking at it. They don't look together. They look like they look lost. If I'm being honest, they look lost. As a team, they look lost. Like, when West Ham are playing, West Ham are usually free flowing, and they're not free flowing at the minute. And that's on Moyes. I think sometimes a lot of people, including myself, excuse me, and I'll say this openly, will criticise Moyes, yeah, because of his tactics, and he's picking the same team over and over again. But some of them players have been not the same. Jared Bowen's has not been the same this year. Even like the new players that are coming haven't really hit the ground running. Even though I do rate Skamaka and Paqueta, they're up and down for me. They're up and down. I think Paqueta has got the quality, but it's just it's a lot to ask the man to come in and try and just turn West Ham around. Do you know what I'm saying? So I honestly, good question, but I just think a lot of it was like masked with the sort of Irvine, Pierce, everyone, really. I think Moyes has done a good job, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I say that. He's done a very, very good job. Yeah, and let's be honest, where was Moyes going with his sort of management career? Sociedad was a failure. Sunderland was a failure. He's done very well at West Ham. But I do think the backroom staff that he had have to take a bit of credit also. I don't think they really do, in my honest opinion. The ball have been caught asleep at the wheel, hence the extra games. Moyes is very poor. Big fan base, unfortunately, never even a decent owner. Yeah. Mancini would be excellent if we could put it off. Morocco are 1-0 up. Yeah, 11-10, great bet they were today, honestly. Just my speculation. Liverpool sale to happen before January, and the new owners are already tapping up. Nice. Yeah, I think that could be on the cards there, mate. Really, no, let's get down here. Spirit has gone, and the pre-season suggested that spot on, mate. Woman has a lot to answer for. Yeah, listen, I do think pre-season. I remember doing like spaces on Twitter, and I turned around and I said that this pre-season form is worrying. And people you get the people who sort of turn around and say, "Yeah, we lost all our games in pre-season, but we went on to get a European qualification." I went, great, but should West Ham be losing all their games or looking bad when they've just spent £100+ million? West Ham should be going up, not down or below down. Do you know what I'm saying? And for me, it all started from pre-season, in my opinion. It really did. Like, it really, really did. It's clear he's making the calls again. Sully, I think that is. He's making the call. He's just waiting until 4 o'clock, and then, yeah, I agree. I don't think we've played well even when we've had won games. I agree on that. It's one game that I will agree that I think we deserve to win. The others, I'm with you on that. I remember when we nearly blew the first game against Silkeborg because Moyes decided to sit back at on a 3-1 lead. I agree on that. The Silkeborg game, we was lucky in that game because they should have had a penalty at 2-1. Never forget it. I don't know watch along. Me, Mitchell, and Lucas, don't watch along, and they should have had a penalty, and they didn't get it. It was a blatant penalty, really. And how the referee missed it, I don't know. But I do agree with what Smogel was saying there, yeah, in regards of playing well this season. It's only one game that West Ham's played well this season where I've looked at start to finish. I've gone, yep, they deserve to win that game. That's Wolverhampton Wanderers at home. The other games, you can look at the Fulham game, but the officials just helped us on that game massively. The Bournemouth game, yes, we deserved to win the game because we was the better side, but we had a lot going in our favour to get the win. And the Villa game for me was just poor, and we stole a win up there really. And to look at it like that, and people will say, well, we've been very, very unlucky this year. We was unlucky at Nottingham Forest, we was unlucky at Chelsea. The Forest game, I will give them people. I will say, you know what, you're bang on. We've done everything other than score a goal. But the Chelsea game for me, yet again, papers over the cracks. Like, we're 1-0 up, we're in control of the game. I thought Chelsea were poor that day, massively poor, and I think West Ham had them massively under control. Yeah, we scored a goal, we was defending well. We make one error in that game, and which absolutely crucified us. Do you know what I mean? That's Chilwell to score under Fabianski. After that, then we just fell apart, really. And that's exactly what happened. So I won't say that we've been unlucky in any other games this year, from what I remember. I think Brighton we got completely outplayed. Everton we was poor. Manchester United, for the last 10 minutes we was good, but the rest of the game we weren't. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it is a worry. The thing with pre-season is about performances, not results, and the performances were what's to come. Yeah, I agree on that, mate. No, don't get me wrong. When you're going and watching your team in pre-season, I'm not expecting the team to go out and smash these teams, but we don't look like smashing a team at the minute. We really don't. And from what I've seen of West Ham over the last 2 years, 2.5 years, to now, it's just night and day. It's just different. It feels different. Premier teams have worked us out, especially the pressing, our defenders, and Souček has not worked out an alternative way of playing. I think he has changed his tune a little bit. I will say that, Anthony. I think he has changed it. He's gone to a 4-3-3. I don't think the fans enjoy the football either. There's no atmosphere at the London Stadium at the moment. Fans like to be entertained, but it doesn't seem to be much entertainment with Moyes in charge. Totally agree on that comment. Another comment of the day, and that is the final comment of the day on Smogel. That is a valid point, yeah. I done a sort of show on here, and I had opened it to people to come on, and Peter, I think his name was, come on and basically expressed himself to say, like, when I go over to the London Stadium, I'm not being entertained. Like, I'm not being entertained at all. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, are we being entertained as fans at West Ham? For me, I'm watching that from afar and I'm going, this is just not good. This is just not good. And it is a worry, mate. It is a worry. I do feel something big is going to happen in January. I don't know what it is, but I don't like to say that, but I think maybe Rice is looking for a way out because he can see that there's no plan with West Ham. That's the one thing I will say. Do you know what I'm saying? London Stadium are back to being the Salvers Bowl again. Yeah, which is a shame. It really is a shame. I'm going to wrap it up there, people. I really do appreciate everyone who has participated in the chat today. Without you, I'll be sitting here talking to myself. So, yeah, I really do appreciate it. Please do smash a like on the video. Go over and smash a like on it. It really helps me out, gets this sort of stream out there. I just want to give a quick shout out to Andy. Andy got his Xmas present in the post. He got the Mark Noble book, autobiography. I had that sent to him. I have sent out the other shirt, and I've got one more shirt to sort out, and that is done. And that is from me. In regards of sort of content, I will sort of be doing these sort of little rumour has it shows and going on there and seeing what's going on. And obviously we'll have to see what happens with West Ham. And obviously I've been covering England in the World Cup, but obviously West Ham is the heartbeat of all of us, and we need to seriously sort out what's going to happen in January, if not before then. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we've got two big games. We've got two London derbies, which, if I'm honest, I'm looking forward to seeing West Ham playing again. But I'm dreading it also because I'm thinking, what am I going to expect, or what are we going to be served up? So, yeah, it is a major concern. So, listen, have a good one, and I will see you again in the next one. And if you are new around here, don't forget to subscribe because it goes a long way. From me to you, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Peace.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.